All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for coming. This is the final lecture in the 2014 Wilderness Issues Lecture Series hosted by the Wilderness Institute this year in partnership also with the Montana Wilderness Association and the USDA Forest Service Region 1, the Northern Region. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. This is an awesome finale to the lecture series. It's not really a lecture in the sense that we're going to be watching a film premiere. And here to introduce the film is the Regional Forest Service Director for the Northern Region, Region 1, Faye Kruger. Faye Kruger heads the Northern Region, which covers some 25 million acres from northern Idaho to North and South Dakota. She's been with the Forest Service since 1980, serving in various positions on national forests in Idaho, Montana, Utah, and the Dakota Prairie National Grasslands. She was formerly the Deputy Regional Forester in the Southwest Region, which covers New Mexico and Arizona, and she served as the Associate Deputy Chief for the National Forest Systems lands in Washington before coming here to Missoula. And so she's going to kick us off by introducing us to the film. Thanks, Faye.
And I graduated from this very school, so it's great to be back. All Forest Service employees, your papers are due tomorrow, 10 o'clock. No more than 3 paragraphs, please. So this is great. It is our final lecture series, and it is a film, and so it's a great honor to introduce this film. I actually got to go out with the whole camera crew, all the students, and it was just a great experience. My husband and I had the privilege of going. So I wanted to welcome you to this premiere, and it's a 27-minute film, and we want to highlight the importance of wilderness. Why is it so important? As everybody's aware, it's the 50th anniversary of the Wilderness Act, 1964, and I can see it's warm in here, and so we just want to thank everybody for coming out on such a beautiful spring day. Included in this premiere, in this movie, we have high school youth from Missoula and Flathead Valley. We have students from the college right here, the University of Montana. And again, it was filmed in the Scapegoat and Bob Marshall Wilderness area. It's been produced by some employees in the Northern Region in partnership with many people. And those partners include the Bob Marshall Wilderness Outfitters, Backcountry Horsemen of Montana, the Arthur Carhart National Wilderness Training Center, the University of Montana Wilderness Institute, Montana Wilderness Association, Stephanie Wing, Stephen Mulchler, Cheryl Hughes, and teachers at Willard and Sentinel High Schools, Dana Howenkorn with the Federated Salish and Kootenai Tribes, the Tribal Education Department, Starrett Artists of Montana-based filming company here, and the youths themselves. And I have to tell you, it was just a great setting. We had great weather. We had a great time. But how did all this get started? And I want to tell you that I was in a meeting with Backcountry Horseman, Smoke Elzer, and he'll be talking to us here in a little bit. And he had the idea that we needed more youth involved, and they needed to understand the value of wilderness. And he's out there with many volunteers, and they are just the right arm to the Forest Service to get a lot of our work done in our trail work, and we appreciate them so much. And he said, you know, if we could get a film and kind of get it out there for the youth, and let them see what goes on. Maybe we could pique their interest and how important that is, because we want our youth to know how important nature is, what it provides, that it matters to us, the solitude it provides, being able to go out there and not hear anything. What's that like? Except the wildlife, that type of thing, the rivers. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And to have that experience, these students are going to share with us what it meant to them. So I wanted to also let you know that we have a special guest in the audience, and I'd like to introduce our Deputy Undersecretary from the Department of Agriculture, Butch Blazer, and he's here for a few days.
Thank you, Faye. And your report on this film is going to be... No, I'm just kidding.
One paragraph, due tomorrow.
No, again, I love this area. I'm going to tell you just flat out, I love coming to Missoula, Montana. I think this whole area exemplifies what, you know, the wilderness of this country truly is. And being the 50th anniversary, you couldn't be in a better spot to start celebrating. And so I'm looking forward to the film this evening. I know all of you are. It's great to see a packed house. And those that were involved in putting this together and in reaching out and being very proactive in educating and bringing that awareness to our young people, I want to thank them, because young people are a passion of mine, and it's something that all of us need to always be thinking about, educating them in regards to the importance of all that we live in this country, and especially you here in Missoula. So thank you, Faye, and let's get on with the program. Thank you.
So as our Deputy Undersecretary mentioned, he has a passion for wilderness, a passion for youth, and so does the next gentleman that I want to introduce, and that's Smoke Elzer, who's just been instrumental in getting this film going. And so, Smoke, come on out and say a few words.
You know, it's been a little over a year that a young man come into my barn. He's young, about my age. He come into my barn. And he come out of Ovando. He is a packer and a horse trader up in that part of the country. And Larry Larson come into our barn, and he said, I got an idea for the Wilderness Act. He said, let's take a pack trip. And it wasn't just a pack trip. He wanted to do about 50 or 60 miles. He wanted to go across the Bob Marshall and see the whole Bob Marshall. And that sounded pretty good. I don't know whether Larry's in this room or not. Larry, are you here? He tried to make it, I know. But at any rate, he came up with the idea. Well, we kicked it around in the barn a while, and then he went home, and he came back a couple other times. We kicked it around a few other times, and we figured, by golly, maybe we ought to do this. So we started out planning. Boy, you try to plan about 100-mile pack trip and involve about as many young people as we could, and as many rangers, Forest Service, as well as outfitters, and as well as hikers, all kinds of people involved in it. It was quite too much of a job. So anyway, we eventually narrowed it down until we come up with the idea that we'd just go in on a fairly short trip, and then I come up with the idea that we ought to have the young people. You know, we kind of already lost a lot of our people. That is, the middle-aged people now are not too interested in the wilderness anymore, mainly because they've got all kinds of things, all their electronic gear. I'll bet everybody in this room has a cell phone in your pocket somewhere. I'll just bet you, you know, and that's right, except me. I don't have one. But, you know, that's one of the problems. So what we thought we'd do is try to get the young people interested in wilderness, give them an experience, not just tell them about wilderness. You know, we can all stand up here and talk about wilderness until we're blue in the face. It doesn't mean a thing. It doesn't mean anything unless you can hear the hush of the land, unless you can touch the water and touch the trees. You know, I've had guests run around and smell ponderosa pine. Does anybody know what a ponderosa pine smells like? You know, if you've ever smelled vanilla, that's exactly what it smells like. If you get right up close to the bark, it smells like vanilla. So that's what we wanted to do. And anyway, we took it to the Forest Service. They thought it was a pretty good idea. I took it to the Backcountry Horsemen. The Backcountry Horsemen got behind it 100%. They said, yeah, let's go do it. Let's get these young people involved in this. It'll keep our trails open to horses, hikers, and everyone else. It'll make a co-trail existence for the backcountry. And we thought that was a great idea, so we carried this on and finally got the meeting with the Forest Service and produced this kind of a film. I hope this film will light the passion and the fire in your heart for wilderness. And I think that's what we need to do. And that's what I'm trying to do here, and enjoy the film. Thank you.
Okay, so as people move into the seats, we'll keep rolling with the introductions. Thank you very much. We're sorry that we're so packed. This is, as Joni said, a great thing in some ways. So the next folks I would like to introduce are Connie and Mac Long. They're with the Bob Marshall Wilderness Outfitters, and they're also members of Backcountry Horsemen and played an instrumental role in the making of this film as well. So Connie and Mac, if you'd like to come up here, that'd be great.
I just want to say that this was an awesome project, and I'm so proud and humbled that I was able to have a part in this and make it all a success. And I'm actually representing Backcountry Horsemen of Montana, and I'm also representing the Montana Wilderness Outfitters within the state. So without those two organizations, this film wouldn't have happened, and it couldn't have been as successful as it is. So it is an awesome film, and I know you're going to enjoy it. And like I said, I'm just so happy that I had a part in it and to make it so successful. Thank you.
Well, like Connie said, we're really humbled to be able to be a part of this. It turned out really well. But I guess really what I want to do is say thanks to a lot of you for being here, because a lot of you are the age that you are the next generation. You're the future of wilderness. It's going to be up to you and others. And it's these high school, college, and young adults up to their 40s. It seems weird to say that's young now, but that's the group that's going to have to take the baton and run with it, because if there's not support for wilderness, there's a good chance we can lose it someday. It's not a guarantee. It's the best insurance policy we have, but we need people grabbing a hold of it and taking care of it. So I just wanted to say thank you for coming tonight and caring enough to be here about wilderness. Thank you.
The next two people I would like to introduce are the actual filmmakers, Shannon and Julia Starrett. So Shannon and Julia, please come up here.
We would really like to thank Joni Packard. She had an integral part of making this film, and she's working right now. She's always working. We'd also like to thank Steve Kimball and everybody from the Forest Service, and we would like to thank our film crew. Aaron Belmont was the assistant editor and photographer. Mike Henderson was the second photographer, and Mike McBride, aka the captain, was our logistics coordinator for the backcountry trip. And unfortunately, she couldn't come tonight, but I know Nala, our pack dog, would have loved to be here as well. Lastly, I'd like to thank Shannon, my husband, for all the hard work he put into this film.
Oh, thank you. Gosh, look at this crowd. This is amazing. Turning people away is not what we really wanted to do, but you can sit on each other's laps. I've seen a lot of that. In addition to the people that Julia thank you. I would like to thank the students who gave us their time, their reflections, their amazingly candid interviews, and we just hope that this film inspires young people to go into the wilderness. And as one of the students, Rory, where are you, Rory? There you are. Rory said, you just got to get people there and let wilderness do what it does to people. And I think we all know what he means. So enjoy the film, folks.
All right, so we're allowed to start the film. The final piece of this is from the Wilderness Institute. And some of you may have read the article in The Independent in which it was stated that the group who went out, the college students, were part of a Forest Service trip. And it's true, we're part of a Forest Service trip every year because we get our permits from them. But the trip that is actually featured in the film that the college students went on as a backpacking trip is actually not an anomaly just for this film. It occurs every fall as part of the Wilderness and Civilization program, and that program has been going on for 40 years. There's many alumni in this audience tonight, and I've had the fortunate experience to be a part of that program for the last 3 years. Every year I'm completely floored by the caliber of students that enter and leave that program, and it's by far one of the most fulfilling parts of my life to date. So I'm really excited that this film celebrates the students. And I haven't had a chance to meet the high school students, but bravo for being a part of this project as well, because really this whole thing is all about you as students, and the next generation of wilderness advocates, leaders, stewards, researchers, and just all around life adventurers. So with that, let's roll the film, Greg. Thanks.
In 1964, a group of people had the foresight to preserve wild places. For future generations, untrammeled by man, an area primeval, influenced by nature, with outstanding solitude. 50 years later, the world has changed. Will the next generation share the passion? Will we carry the torch? To find out what wilderness means for us, 2 groups of youth went into the wilderness, some of us for the very first time.
Remember, for every 1,000 feet we go, the temperature drops 10 degrees. Thunder blowing.
Your tent mates, you know, you guys might be snoring or tossing and turning, and so if there's talking in your sleep, but you know, if there's stuff that's kind of bugging you, just talk it out together.
In your sleep.
In your sleep.
I wish you could do it. Perfect time. I like it.
So, you know, you're going to get to know each other really, really, really well in 4 days. And, you know, this trip into the wilderness is yours. It doesn't have to be anything other than what it really is for you.
Backcountry horsemen, Forest Service, and outfitters came together to look at ways that we could get youth out into the wilderness. We wanted to give them the opportunity to come out and experience firsthand the important things that wilderness has to offer. Hold that and pull it up tight. Okay, and then slide it down. Yeah. Very good. Do it again.
Because when the horse pulls on this one, you're going to pull it right off. Okay, practice.
Why is stock use important? Well, the Wilderness Act of 1964 provided for 2 ways of transportation into the wilderness, and that was by horseback and by foot. And so our hope is that we can pass on to future generation those traditional ways of traveling, the skills that were used historically, and that they can carry those into the future.
The whole country was wilderness a few hundred years ago, and you know it has been developed and carved and built upon, roads built, fences, and I'm afraid if there wasn't a Wilderness Act, we would have very little country like this left.
It could, but it's kind of more of a marshy lake. But we'll be able to swim it.
Wilderness is important to me because I get to hear the hush of the land while I'm out here. I don't hear planes, trains, or automobiles. I don't hear people screaming. I don't got to deal with babies or dogs or anything. It's wildlife, it's nature, it's the wind and the birds and the insects and the few people that you're out here with.
My name is Natalie Dawson, and I'm director of the Wilderness Institute at the University of Montana. I'm also a professor in the College of Forestry and Conservation. I've been running the Wilderness and Civilization program for 3 years now, and so this is my third time participating in our fall trek, which is the first component of a year-long program for students that come from all over the country and sometimes the world to do this program. Wilderness gives us the opportunity to feel like we may be the only ones who have ever been there. We're the only ones that have ever stood on the top of that mountain. We're the only ones that have ever swam in that alpine lake. We're the only ones that have seen that exact view. And it's such a special feeling to have that. And so it's very important when teaching students and bringing them into the wilderness to teach them these ethics, these values such as leave no trace and minimal impact use of an area, so that we leave an area and it's as if we were never there.
I've been on many backpacking trips, and every single time I get out, just in the wild, whether it's the national forest or in a wilderness area, they're all unique and special. And I feel like I learned so much, not just about my surroundings, but also myself. And so I think it's really important for everyone to kind of go through that kind of journey.
Some great creeks.
Cool, so we're probably the Catholics, or how do I?
I'm Steve Kimball, and I'm the program manager for the Northern Region for Wilderness, Wild and Scenic Rivers, and Outfitters and Guides. It's important for young folks to experience wilderness, not just to read about it, not just to see the pictures, because when you come out here, things change for you in a deep level often. When you come out here and see the scenery and experience the solitude, the lack of human influence, you're really visiting the earth how it once was.
The way I get inspired for being out in the wilderness is it just helps me concentrate more because I don't concentrate very easily, and it just helps me like more like think about the things I want to do. Like if I had more time to do it, like what I could do.
So what we did is we came in and we set up.
I get inspired a lot by around the people out here, and it inspires me to want to come out and go to the wilderness more.
Any of these kids that come out here, especially if it's their first time, they're going to have some experiences and see some things that they've never seen before. And those will become memories that will stay with them for their lifetime. And they'll appreciate it, and they will fall in love with this country. They'll want to protect it. They'll want to continue to save it, save places like this. And so we have to introduce this to each generation along the way.
Today was awesome. We got to ride close up to Red Mountain, and it was awesome to stand in the same spot where my grandpa probably stood before.
It was the best time of this whole trip. It was my favorite part. You could see like 100 miles in every direction, all the mountains, all the scenery, the entire wilderness.
Having an experience like that is important to me because it allowed me to think deeper, I guess I could say, about like everything in my life, family, friends, school, sports, everything.
As soon as we got off the horses, all of us kids kind of just ran up the mountain pretty much. We just kind of took off because personally I wanted to eat lunch on top of a mountain. And we got up there and it's like gorgeous. Wow.
I've always loved hiking and backpacking, camping. But I've really gotten into it, I would say, like in high school. It's what I'm most passionate about, being outdoors. It's when I feel most alive. It's just so beautiful, and especially in our world today, which is so full of distractions, technology, and other things. Really, I think a lot of people overlook the beauty of the natural world around them, which is a shame, but that's why, you know, these wilderness areas are here.
Can't believe that we have all of this. I didn't even know this existed. I literally had no idea this existed.
Tomorrow's gonna hurt a lot.
Uh-huh. Yes, it will.
Yeah? There's a tree going on my leg. One log to another and just miss my soul.
Okay. So how far in do you think that went? Yeah. Don't bump it if you.
I don't think it's that far, because that didn't hurt quite as bad as I thought it would.
Okay.
Darn it. How deep do you think it is? Look at the other side.
We were just hanging a bear bag. I was wearing sandals. It was getting a little bit more rugged. I was balancing on a fallen tree, and I jumped to another one, and the tree had lots of little branches sticking out, and the branch I thought would hit my bottom of my sandal, but it just came through and or slipped my sandal and hit my flesh. So feeling all right. I think I'm going to be hiking out tonight because of the risk of infection. So it's too bad.
I can see the sharp part.
It hurts quite a bit.
Yeah. I think
I think someone should pull it
we're
out.
just gonna pull it.
It's gonna hurt.
Did it hurt at first?
Yeah.
Go slow, and if it seems like it's easier than we think, just put it back.
Don't put it back. Please don't put it back.
How do you feel right now on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being crazy pain.
3.
Okay.
I feel it'll probably be close to a 7.
Okay, what I want you to do is tell me the scale as it moves, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Ooh, just imagine the pain. It's gonna hurt a lot.
So what I want you to do is stay honest with me on your scale of pain, okay? Yep.
What's it at?
That's probably 6.
Not everything that we do here is going to be, you know, smiles. It's not going to be happy. Sometimes you have to hike farther and harder than you want to. Sometimes your pack is way too heavy. But basically, that's sort of what makes things. That's what makes you so excited about certain little things, like having, say, macaroni for dinner. Like that just makes you so joyful about that because your day wasn't, you know, perfect. You know, and that's part of it. And that's also what helps you live so simply, is because through that kind of determination and kind of facing that pain, you cut all the haze out, and you learn to sort of feel tired and be hungry and deserve what you have.
I think that kids that spend a little bit of time in the wilderness go away with an increase in self-confidence and self-esteem. And when you can go out into the wild, and you can be out there for 2 or 3 or 4 days, or a week or 2 weeks, if you backpack or ride horses or however you do it, you go away thinking, there's a lot that I didn't know I had the capability of doing. If I can do that, well, then I can probably do a lot of other things I didn't know that I could do. And so, I mean, I just think that one of the great things about wilderness is that it does build kids' self-confidence. And of course, that then manifests itself into all sorts of advantages that they'll have now and in the future.
Wilderness means a lot to me because it's like a place where I can go where there's no people and I can just be by myself and alone with my thoughts.
I feel resourceful. I feel like I'm not helpless. There are things I can do and I can do well. If I were out here on my own, I feel like I'd be able to survive.
I feel strong when I'm out here. Like, the fresh air is good, and I love it. I can't really put it into words, I guess. It's a great feeling.
I have more time to myself out here and more time to think rather than I would at home with mom asked me to do this, mom asked me to do that, go here for me, do this. I get inspired because I see a lot of opportunities to do things out in the wilderness. Out here it's just calm and quiet and it's peaceful.
You just come up to the wilderness and like almost automatically your mind just gets set free. That's something that'll help me. Like someplace I know I can always go to be myself.
So my hope is that everybody that's on this trip and any other trip that they take in the wilderness, that after they leave, that they become some kind of an advocate for the continuing wilderness system. With anything in our system of government, if you don't have support for it, then it's going to change. It's going to disappear. And so we need to have people out in the wilderness to understand the value of wilderness and to become advocates for continuing to maintain the wilderness heritage that we have.
When I'm in the wilderness, what I like most about myself is my ability to be present with where I'm at and to really observe and notice what's going on around me and use all my senses and feel what's happening and my place in the landscape.
As I look into my future, I see wilderness as a place that I can go to for centering, for a place to relax, a place to find new adventures, new views, a different way to view the world, and a place of reflection for me.
One of the most important things about wilderness for me is the solitude and just being out here and being completely alone, but never lonely. That there's so much beauty and wild and life out here that I'm never lonely.
And it's really a positive learning environment. Instead of, sitting in the classroom and reading in a textbook, this fossil came from this time period, or, these trees grow in this environment. You can actually come out and view those things for yourself, feel them, feel the texture, view the colors, and see those interact with each other. And I think that's, for me, the most valuable learning experience that I've had.
I think the Wilderness Act, in the way it reads, slightly like poetry and definitely as a rather impassioned act as far as legal wording is concerned. I think it shows both foresight and aptitude for future generations that we don't really see that much. There are very few laws that we've passed where we've thought about 10, 12, 15 generations down the road. And the Wilderness Act is really and truly one of those only bills that was passed in order to save things for future generations.
Knowing that people 50 years ago worked to save wilderness makes me feel really reassured and like I have company in how I feel about the world and my way of interacting with it. And it's also inspiring in that it gives me energy and hope to go forward and also continue that fight.
I've always felt that it's really been very important for young people to go into the mountains and experience wilderness because, we're getting old. And when we get old, We got to pass the baton on to somebody else that's going to carry on with wilderness.
Thinking about what I would say to people who fought for the Wilderness Act is a tough question. I could probably spend countless amount of time thinking about what I'd want to say to them. I mean, the most obvious thing is thank you.
I would have to say to all the people that created Wilderness, just thank you.
I would say the people who fought for the Wilderness Act would a big thank you, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be sitting like right here, right now.
To those who fought for this wilderness, I would say thank you, that this is such an important part of our society, and to preserve it for their generation and for my generation and for future generations deserves a big thanks.
If I could meet the founders of the Wilderness Act, I would say thank you. I mean, I think what they did was incredible.
If I had a chance to talk to the people who made this happen, who fought for the wilderness, I would say thank you. Like, they did a wonderful thing. I would not be able to say thank you enough.
All right. Well, thank you for your attention. Now we move on to the second portion of this, which is going to be a question and answer with the students who were in the film. And this is your chance as an audience, perhaps folks who are asking that question internally that Smoke made mention of in the film, that how do we pass the baton on to the future generation? What do they think of having that baton in their hands? What kind of relay race will they be running? So with that, I would like to bring up Jesse, Deshane, Kristen, and Ashna, who are the high school students on the trip, and Janine, Sarah, Ellie, Ashley, Will, Danny, Miles, Wyatt, and Rory, who are the college students on the backpacking trip. So if you could come up, we've got 13 chairs somehow there that will spread across, and our MC for this portion will be Zach Porter with Montana Wilderness Association.
Mostly emceeing involves finding people and handing them a microphone. So if you'd like to ask these folks a question, please raise your hand high, and I'll run this over to you.
I'd like to hear from some of you about what you wish you had said now that you had time since you were asked the question on film.
I think the question was, if now that you've seen the film, what do you maybe wish you had said, thinking back on it? Is there anything that you would have loved to have added during the film?
I think there was a lot we said that wasn't in the film.
I vaguely remember being there for 4 days. I think for me, I went to a high school program in California that had a wilderness component to it.
Could you speak into the mic, please?
I went to a high school program in California that had a wilderness component to it, and it was how I got started with all of this. Really valuable experience to me, and programs like that have to fight a lot to stay alive. So one of the things that I would like to say now is to find those programs wherever you can and support them as best you can. And I think that's one of the most valuable things that we can do.
How about some of you guys down at this end? Anything that you guys wish you could have?
That way sandals?
You leave a mark? No, it's not even Star Wars.
How about another question? What?
That was a pretty difficult question.
Would you mind?
How do you think you changed from the beginning of the trip to the end of the trip?
Me? All right. Let me.
I think one thing that I learned was that maybe to Wilderness's benefit, it kind of wears off after about a week and a half. And I think that's a good thing because it means that you kind of have to have a reoccurring relationship with the lands that you want to experience. So in that way, I think I've turned into a reoccurring user, I guess. I'm addicted.
I would say that I think in civilization, we all wear masks to some extent. So I think what's interesting for what I saw on the trek and the Bob was just how people changed was really interesting to me in the group, and people became closer. And I think after several days in the wilderness, people took off their masks and were just completely and utterly themselves. And I think that was really inspiring in of itself, and it was really awesome to see that in people.
I guess I would echo that and say that for me, being in the wilderness for that long solidified a feeling that even though wilderness is often talked about in terms of solitude and being alone and separate from society, for me it's really about the connection you form with other people and with your place sort of in the world. So.
Anyone else? Up there? Okay.
Those of you who rode, was that your first time with horses? Were you comfortable with them? Did any of you?
That was my first time riding a horse, and it scared the daylights out of me. Around the fourth day.
Anyone else want to take a stab at answering that one? Down there, no?
Hello? I rode a horse before, but it was like to water it. So it was like 20 feet. But, well, yeah, it was technically my first time riding it for an extended period of time. And I was fairly comfortable. I was a little uneasy about it at first, but then sort of got in the groove with it. And honestly, I got tired of it. My butt was a little sore. But it was quite an experience. I would definitely do it again.
I'd like to add something to that real quick. I was on the backpacking group, and at the end, her day 4, got used to it. We talked a lot about where the point is when you're in a backcountry trip, that everything fades away and you're really present. And I've heard on a lot of trips people say you're not really there until you wake up there and you go to sleep there in the same day. And for us, we talked about day 8 was a big thing for our group. Can't echo that enough. But what I want to say from this is that there's no replacement of an extended trip with an out and back trip. You really have to go in and stay in for more than just one day.
How would you put into words the 2 periods of transition where you arrive in the wilderness and you kind of realize that you're not in civilization, and then you re-enter civilization?
Well, when you first enter the wilderness, I mean, it's not really any way to word it. It's a feeling. It's like, I mean, I could talk for days, but when I first entered there, I was taken aback. I didn't know what to say. It was just, I was there in the moment, and it was pretty amazing. And when I got back home, I missed it. I missed it a lot. I wish we could have stayed another week or 2. I mean, hey, I had fun. But yeah, it's really no words to explain it. I mean, I can't, at least.
To echo the words of the Matrix, civilization, I think, in many ways, is the world that has been put over our eyes to blind us from the truth being wilderness. So I thought one of the most interesting things when we emerged from the wilderness, and this happens every time I come back from an extended time in the wilderness, it's hard to put into words, but I had the strangest feeling that, you know, like you see cars and buildings and other people, and it's just like, it's kind of overwhelming, and they seem almost alien and foreign to you because you've been away from those things for so many days. And also, I just think the experience itself, it becomes almost like ritualized. Like, you know, whenever our group's together, you know, we oftentimes will bring up our experiences in the Bob Marshall, you know, and, you know, almost like continuing that experience.
I guess this was the longest backpacking trip I had ever done, and coming back to civilization, I guess I'm kind of just seconding what Danny said. It was kind of just like you have to like relearn just the day-to-day things you do, getting up, not brushing your teeth, you do that in the wilderness, but like, you know, making your cup of coffee or whatever, like using kitchen items, getting in your car, getting on your bike and going to school, like kind of get back into the schedule. And when you're out there, especially for such a long period of time, it's not really time, it's just kind of timeless schedules. Like when you eat, you know, check with the group, you stop to eat. If you feel hungry, you just keep walking. And so part of this program, after our backpacking trip, we then, you know, are in all the same classes on campus together, and having that experience coming back, kind of like decompressing from such a long time out there. I don't know, it really kind of like, we were able to like remember what it was like together and kind of remind each other as we were like retransitioning back into society, if you will. And a lot of things kind of stuck, I think, a little more than they have in the past for me on shorter trips. And that's just something that I know we all experience together, and it feels more lasting, like just being aware of kind of things we take for granted in society and whatnot, like all of the just conveniences we have here in civilization.
I think that when you enter the wilderness, a kind of calmness comes over you, and you realize that you don't have to deal with the rest of the world. You don't have to deal with the stresses and going to and fro and getting all your stuff done. And you can just take a moment to relax and ponder your surroundings and really just think for a moment. And then when you leave, you get back into your day and you try to get that feeling back, and it's just so much harder. And it's like twice as hard to be able to find that calmness and that relaxation that you can just find so easily out in the wilderness area.
You know, it's very apparent that this trip touched your lives in very special, very different ways. And the question I have for any of you, if you've thought about it, is that, you know, you were given this very unique opportunity, and you've benefited from that opportunity. You see truly the value of these wild places. Have any of you thought about, wow, this was wonderful. How can I help make this happen for other young people? And how can I help personally in making sure that these very special places don't ever go away? It's somewhat of a challenge.
Yes, we have thought about it, and yes, we talk about it constantly, and we also talk about how to get more, and how to get more diversity within the type of lands that we're protecting, not just high alpine forested areas, but desert areas, prairies, everything. You know, how do we bring more people out and show them what we do? We talk about it a lot.
I guess for me personally, this trip really kind of made me sure of kind of what I want to do in life, which is, I suppose, I don't know, you get to school and there's so many opportunities and things to do, and you don't really know where your place is or what you're good at or what you want to be doing. But this made me really think about how I want to like help people, I guess, but that I specifically want to go into outdoor education and, you know, do stuff like this, like what Natalie's job is. Get kids out there, and kind of what Rory said earlier was quoted, it's just getting them out there, you know, is what your job is, and then they do the rest of the work, you know, whoever it is, whatever person you're helping get out into the wilderness, you know. So.
I've thought about it quite a bit, and I think you can go into a job or a career helping the wilderness and everything, but really the biggest way is to just tell the world and let everyone know and get them to experience the same feelings and thoughts that you've had and think, wow, this needs to stay. And if more people have had that feeling and have had those experiences, then more people are going to want to work hard to protect it, because people want the good things in life. They want the good feeling. They want to always have that with them, and they don't want to lose it.
What was your favorite part of the trip?
I liked hiking to the top of Red Mountain. That was fun and tiring, but it was worth it.
I think that when you look back on trips, you often think about the times that you climbed to the top of a peak. And there was a time we climbed to Trilobite Peak, and I think every single one of us did a headstand on top of the peak, an assisted headstand, and I think that's definitely notable.
Yeah, coincidentally, that was day 8.
My question is to the young man who got the stab in his foot. When that happened and you realized that there's no help there except the those are with you, there's no 911, there's no ambulance, there's nothing like that, did that give you a different appreciation of the wilderness?
Yeah, I'd say so. Especially when there was about 3, you know, certified people on, I don't know, maybe 5 on our team that could have handled the situation, and everybody who came up would hand it off to the next person. And they're kind of like, I don't want to do this. So that made me a little concerned, but no, yeah, I guess, I don't know if in the moment I wasn't very appreciative, but I guess more in hindsight, it was, I'm not going to say I enjoyed getting hurt, but I do think that it gave me a little bit of a sense of, you know, how, like we talked about it's very simple out there, right? But basically, everything you need is like your feet and your back, and that's all you have to worry about. And it's interesting that all it took was a little twig, or I guess a big twig, to like take me out of the game. Basically, that was all I needed to just like be completely, immobile out there and kind of reliant on everybody else. So yeah, I guess that kind of simplicity makes you a lot more vulnerable, and that makes you a little more. There's two sides of that coin, I guess.
Anyone in the back?
Have any of you, as an individual or as a group, written to your congressman? For example, I think just recently they were going to pass something to preserve something in Montana, and then because they wanted it by unanimous consent, they did not. There were 3 senators, I guess, that blocked that. But have you, as a group, written to, for example, Congressman Daines or to the senators about your trip? And would that help overall showing support?
No, we haven't as a group, but it's a great idea.
I'd like to add, this man right here saved me on day 6 of our 11-day trip when I ran out of food, and he gave me everything. And also, if you want to get an idea of what it's like to go out there for a while, I'd recommend the movie Into the Wild. Yeah. I'd also recommend to watch the Indiana Jones movies, except for Temple of Doom and the young Indiana Jones. God, they're bad.
I'd like to echo that. I also, great movies, by the way. I enjoy them. Some of my favorites in there. But I'd like to echo that I also did not bring enough food. And Wyatt also saved my life. Did provide me with some food and also coconut butter. Wow. That stuff really saved me. It's just fatty, and I was just eating it plain by the end of it. If I didn't have the coconut butter, I probably wouldn't be here right now with you.
How about a couple more questions?
I am wondering what, if any, kind of change you are carrying with you still from that experience, or what kind of action this has inspired you to take, either an action that affects the world around you or an action for yourself.
I might be cheating with this question because I just got back from 6 days of backpacking in Canyonlands 2 days ago. So I've kept my experiences a little more current than just this August trip. But one of the things that going into the backcountry again last week reminded me was my extreme wealth in people. And when this program started, I didn't know any of these people, and now they're my closest friends, and I'm really blessed to have that, and that's an experience, and well, it's an experience that I want to continue to build upon, and a method of which for creating that I want to share with other people. So.
I would echo that. I think also for me, going into the wilderness or going on extended trips, not so much transforms me as like just solidifies me or brings me closer to something every time. So I guess over time, on like a more personal level, like I really believe in connecting people and giving people the chance to have the experiences that I've had in landscapes. So as Will said, I'm also interested in outdoor education, and that's become more of a tangible goal.
This might be the wrong thing to say in an academic setting, but I guess the essence of the trip for me has kind of stuck with me to the point where I haven't listened to this for a long time, but for me personally, as far as an action, I've decided to take some time off school to go travel to France, and just kind of like being around, I don't know, all these people, I think gave me I don't know, I've been thinking about it for a couple semesters, and it's been kind of like, been slogging through, and I'm going to come back in higher spirits, but just kind of the sense of adventure we had out there, I just decided that I wanted to keep listening to that inside me and myself, and do what I feel like I need to be doing right now. So.
How about any of the students on the pack trip? Do you guys want to add any final thoughts? Well, let's have a round of applause again for
All right, so the last part of our program tonight is going to be emceed by Jen Ferenstein with the Wilderness Society and Joni Packard with the USDA Forest Service. And I'm glad that Joni gets to come up here because she's been an instrumental person in everything that has happened leading up to tonight. So Joni and Jen, come on up.
So I think I'll start, right, Joni? Okay. So I'm Jennifer Ferenstein. I'm with the Wilderness Society. I just want to take 1 minute of your time just to announce that this event and Jack Gladstone being here are sort of a kickoff for an activity that we have been planning with partners for the last 6 months or so. We're going to be kicking off this spring and running into the fall a series of tour events where Jack and a number of musicians will be playing in 8 different Montana communities. They'll be in Great Falls, Bozeman, Bull Lake, Seeley Lake, Choteau, Helena, Fort Peck, and Missoula over the summer and into the fall. We're going to have our signature event in Great Falls on June 19th with Phil Alberg, Rob Quist, Dave Geffen, and Jack. So that'll be a really exciting moment. And oftentimes with Jack and the other musicians, we'll also be showing Untrammeled. So the film will be going around the state in that way. Just to sort of give you a sense of why we're doing it or how it came about, this anniversary for the 50th anniversary of the Wilderness was really inspired, I think, by both the desire to celebrate the wilderness heritage and also a recognition that the fate of future wilderness depends upon a strong and enduring public support. The tour is brought to you by the Wilderness Society, the Northern Region of the Forest Service, the Coalition to Protect the Rocky Mountain Front, the Montana Wilderness Association, Friends of Scotchman's Peak, and the Greater Yellowstone Coalition. But there's lots of other partners involved, and we're doing this in conjunction with activities and community events around the state. So we really hope that you will join us in the celebration of wilderness in this key year, the 50th anniversary. But it really goes beyond that. It's not for just this year that we should celebrate wilderness. It's for many, many years to come. All the events will be free, open to the public, and we'll soon be putting out a poster and details, and you'll be able to get information on our various websites. So again, I just want to thank you all for coming, for kicking off this premier event, and for a great summer of events and into the following years to protecting and promoting wilderness in our country. Thanks.
I just want to say thanks to everyone that showed up tonight. We knew it would be a full house, but we didn't realize it would be overflowing. So thanks for your flexibility at the start. It was just wonderful to have everybody here. I want to say thanks to the students that were on our trip, both the college students and our high school students, and our phenomenal film crew, Julia and Shannon Starrett and the camera folks that were part of the team. Couldn't have been done without it. It couldn't have been done without the huge coalition of partners that made this happen. So I just want to say thanks to you all. It's my privilege to introduce Jack Gladstone, and we're very honored to have him here. Jack is an award-winning troubadour from Montana's Blackfeet Nation, and he illustrates the Western Americana through the fusion of lyric, poetry, music, and spoken narrative. Jack co-founded Native America Speaks, Glacier National Park's acclaimed lecture series. In its 30th season, this program endures as the longest-running Indigenous speaker series in the national park history. His most recent release, Native Anthology, 2011, was named Best Historical Recording from the Native American Music Association. In the summer of 2012, Jack presented twice at Washington, D.C.'s Smithsonian Museum of the American Indian. In the spring of 2013, he became the first Montanan ever to be presented with the C.M. Russell Museum Heritage Award, honoring his contributions to the legacy, culture, life, and country of Russell's West. Montana's Blackfeet troubadour, in the autumn of 2013, Jack was inducted into the University of Washington Alumni Hall of Fame for his contributions and innovations in the field of communication. Please join me in welcoming Jack Gladstone.
One, two. This is Mr. Dave Griffith. Some of you are acquainted with him and his performance exploits, acrobatics with even some time, with Rob Quist, a number of fine artists, and he also was a co-producer along with Phil Auberg of Native Anthropology, which won the best recording, historical recording a couple years ago in the country. This first song we'd like to play, also a tip upstairs. We've been asked 2 songs. We're going to do Last Best Place and Rainbow Medley, and that'll be it. 2 songs. Okay. Okay, this is, we wrote this song before the attempt was to trademark the name Last Best Place, so here we go. 2, 3, 4. Just as the orange sun breaks the plain between the dawn and day, on the great plains in the last best place grow tender shoots of grain. The children of 1,000 years are rising once again to hunt and fish and harvest what the sun on earth will send. From the Ice Age to the New Age, we're somewhere in between. We were skin-clad silent hunters, and now we're living proof of dreams. The only separations are the future hearts to find in the last best place in the universe. Last best place on earth. The sunloom of creation has spun our heart a home. Its layers intertwined with love. The earth cannot be homed. From the basins of the big sky, through her womb her rivers run. We're entrusted with a legacy, past Mother Earth to sun. Oh, the mountain mist and the waterfalls in pools forever swirl. In the last best place in the universe, the last best place in the world. Last best place on earth, forever will be mine. The last best place on earth, where the flag of freedom shines. The last best place on earth. The last best place on earth. like to dedicate the next song to the big picture. And in the big picture, you know, one of the things about poetry, it's the least best words. And I like to call poetry the least best words in the last best place. And it is the one of the figures that I met that was instrumental in the passage. You know, it wasn't any one person. There was a collection. It was a community of people. And gathering this community of people all the way from Bob Marshall to the writers of the Wilderness Act, there was a lot in it. There was a gentleman by the name of Bill Wharf. He is the founder of Wilderness Watch, which was made up of citizens and also federal employees within the different services. Bill Wharf went from Forsyth, Montana to the United States Marine Corps in World War II. And he spent all 36 days. He was not wounded, but he saw the horror of the most horrific battle in history, Iwo Jima, in February of 1945. He came back from that battle scarred. However, Bill Wharf earned his, married his high school sweetheart and earned his forestry degree, and he went on to work for the Forestry Service. And I feel, you know, in my conversations with him, he was instrumental in the writing of Remembering Private Charlo about the Salish Indian Marine who was first atop Mount Suribachi on Iwo Jima. He was, I felt that Bill Wharf utilized wilderness as a resource to recover from the horror that is Cain killing Abel. Essentially the breakdown of kinship that happens in war. He came back and he also told me a story that Marine to Marine at the highest, some of the highest levels in Washington, D.C., when the Wilderness Act was ready to be passed, he said, yes, this is a good thing. And the guy that helped slide it through said, Marine to Marine, we'll go with it. So Bill Wharf died 2 years ago, and I'd like to honor our elders. You know, our elders become ancestors. I've been losing a lot of friends lately, and you'll feel this, and you'll discover this as time goes on. And I'm glad the kids are getting the exposure, because you are the torch bearers, you are the torch carriers for this generation. Another 30, 40 years from now, a lot of us will be gone, but you will still be here, and you will be active, and we'll have a healthy wilderness system. This song is entitled Rainbow Medley, and this appeared on the Native Anthropology CD, and here we go. 2, 1.
Can't hide. myself, what a wonderful world. Well, I see skies of blue and I see clouds of white in the brightness of day. I'd like to die and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Let's build it now. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of the people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, singing, how do you do? They really sing, I love you. Well, I hear babies cry and I watch them grow, and they'll learn much more than we'll know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Everybody now, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. David. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine on till tomorrow, let it be. I wake up to the sound of music. Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Yes, there will be an answer, let it be.
All right, so thank you everyone for coming. That closes our program, and have a great evening.